What's up? What's good? Welcome to another one. I'm saying, oh, let me turn this shit off. Nice. What's happening with it? Alright guys, I'm gonna get right into it. Last one was a little long-winded and I apologize for that. I get carried away sometimes. But I'm gonna show you guys, just to start this, how I made the beat for the last one, Anxiety. And if you have any questions along the way or during it or after the fact, if you're watching this afterwards, you just drop them in there and I'll answer them. You know what I mean? Anxiety. Boom, let me open this motherfucker. And light my candle. I've been in Arkansas. Do I speak Spanish? I don't, but my older brother and sister are Mexican, so when they speak around me, I can kind of understand, but I wouldn't dare say that I know how to speak it because I would not. I would butcher it. Although I can, like, after I've been around them for a while, I can start to kind of get back into it a little, but no, I mean, not by any real stretch of the imagination. I want to, though. And I'm definitely going to work on improving that skill in the future whenever that becomes a possibility. But yeah, I've been in Arkansas for my fiance's for her birthday, so we've been up there. That's why I didn't do like the sweat on beat challenge or anything like that this week, but we're gonna get back into it just like usual. And as far as for the beat for Anxiety, so let's go ahead and make sure all the speakers and everything's plugged in. Yeah. Boom. Okay. You know what's funny? A lot of you guys reacted to the song like a way I did not at all expect you to, because I didn't really like this song. But it turns out a lot of people actually enjoyed this song. Getting a lot of DMs about it, so that's pretty tight. But yeah, let's go with it. I've got anxiety writing in the studio. Okay, so the way, of course, like I said last time, this one's actually super simple. Last time, whenever I was showing you guys how I made the beats for Freer and I think Signal, is I say the same thing that I do. I start the same way. It's always the metronome sound. So in this one, it was a snap instead of a clap or a snare or anything like that. So let's see. So you can kind of hear how, I mean, of course, I start that on top of the sample. So let me back up a second. This, I think I did Omnisphere or something like that. I got some choir sound. And I kind of bounce it out so I can manipulate it, but it's pretty much the same thing all the way across. And whenever you're listening to it, you can hear this kind of like so you can tell that it sounds like it's in a, it sounds really big and like there's many parts to it, because every section is like a chord. Even though I didn't play chords for it, it was just already in chords. But anytime that something sounds really big and stuff, I don't like to put too much dry stuff on top of it. I like to kind of blend it in with a lot of reverb or something like that. So in this case, I just took off a little bit of the high end because it was already sounding really warm, and that's kind of how I wanted it to stay, like a lot of my stuff, honestly. And I found a little snap, and yeah. So it doesn't sound like that though in the mix. Notice. Like it's still there. Yeah, there's a lot of reverb because that's what I wanted, but it's not like, overbearing whenever you're actually listening to it in context. And so in context is everything, you know. So the idea is that you want to, and if you're just trying to get it in there so that it sounds good, but you don't want all the reverb, you're still going to put a lot of reverb, but again, be it in and out of context until you get it to the point where it makes sense. Because if you took all of that off, you know, that sounds dead as hell. You turn it back on, suddenly it makes sense, and it kind of lends more to the ebbs and flows of it instead of a right on beat. It kind of gives it that fades off and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like a throw almost, but in reverb. And in this one, I didn't use hi-hats or kicks. It was literally just an 808 and the snap with the sample. So, you know, 808, I basically just to it by itself. Something that had a little more bounce in it, you know. Because if you don't know, 808s can have, basically you can use it as a bass for a bass line, or you can use it kind of like a kick that can be in pitch. I don't know. That's like, to me, the two good ways to use it. You can use them both in context with a kick, but in this situation, I kind of wanted it to just kind of roll by itself. And it was this particular 808 that I found was bouncy enough to be its own kick. So that's kind of what we did. But yeah, I mean, look, and of course, I took off the snap so I can kind of work with the pitch to make sure it's in pitch, because I didn't know what the pitch was. I mean, because this was one of those things where sometimes you'll get like a MIDI or whatever, like this one's Omnisphere, and it's like some kind of whatever choir. And it wasn't actually like you play the note and it's that note. Like, so if I played, you know, a C on the piano, like on that note for the MIDI, it wasn't necessarily a C because it was already in a chord, and it was like all pitched up and down of a certain chord. I don't remember what it was, but so it did make sense. So sometimes you just gotta kind of make sure it's, you know, play it by ear, and if it makes sense, then, you know, roll with it. So that's what I did. So, and the reason why I left it by itself is because I kind of wanted it to drive it, but in a subtle way, but also give it like a real, like, large bass. I wanted it to be nice and separate. Nice and bare in a sense, but like I wanted it to sound like an open room that just had two very large elements to it, which is the snap for the metronome, you know, because that's what makes you break your neck and everything, but also the 808 that kind of drives it in this kind of way where it's not like you go from choir boy to some kind of, you know what I mean, like this is a hip hop song. And so that's kind of what I did there. Got to Minnesota alone. I've got anxiety. And you know, arrangement is everything after that. And I really didn't do much arrangement. Most of it was just taking in and out the 808 or just everything completely. And sometimes even the snares. Let me do my stuff. But I use my vocal and a lot of ad-libs to kind of create the song, give it more layers to it. And I wanted that challenge, and I wanted it because that's just the vision I had, and so I went with it, you know what I mean? Apparently, you guys really like it. I thought I could have done better, but I guess that's the point, right? You always want to do better. Finally, the only other thing I want to say to you guys before cutting this off is that I actually had a bunch of other elements in the actual thing. I deleted a bunch of them, but I kept some of them in here just in case one day I did this. In fact, one. I only kept really one because it was going to be in the song, but at the last minute I was like, nah, this sounds terrible. So originally it was supposed to be two elements to the sample. I call it the sample, but the melodic part, you know, the choir, and it was all supposed to have this little box, a little music box kind of sound. it's cool and everything, but I just trusted him. And honestly, it probably would have sounded better if it was together. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you're feeling at the time. And that felt like the right move. I didn't sit there and think about it for 2 years. I was just like, well, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to leave it simple because that's what the rest of the song was. It represented something simple. It's literally just a snap for metronome, a 808 to drive it as a kick, and then the sample, and then my vocals. So I kind of left it that way. And it made more sense in context because my vocals obviously did the heavy lifting in terms of making it into a full-blown song. And if I left that box in there, it kind of limited what I could and couldn't do because I was having a lot of fun with, you can hear, with the actual MIDI of that anyway. So, yeah.
Country pain he'll never show. If I was robbed of my own flesh, it'd tear apart my soul. I gave my word to fix that problem when the music blows.
Yeah.
That runs deeper than I promised.
So that's it, man. That's how I made the beat for Anxiety. That was my thought process kind of behind it. If you guys want me to say anything else, to cover anything else on these lives or whatever, I'm just kind of running with this until there's more people in the lives. And then at that point, there'll be more questions. There'll be more, engagement and things like that. So then the lives can kind of run a little bit farther and have better content as well. So until then, I'm just going to keep doing this unless somebody says, hey, can you do this? I will gladly do that the next time we go live. I'll address whatever it is. If it's a question, if it's like a breakdown of, I don't know, vocals, lyrics, or whatever the hell, I'm down to do it. But anyway, so we good. I think that's it. See y'all next time. You know what I'm saying?